Now, we would like to take this opportunity to welcome each one of you. All of you, I think, all of us are in a unique situation. We have never seen this kind of a situation before in our life. Um, Maybe after the technology revolution, uh, this is the first pandemic that we are seeing at a global level, and it is so harsh on all of us. So, like, when we are looking at it, how do we look at the whole thing? How do we encounter this? Uh, I want to take you through a small journey on how we want to look at this from an organizational perspective. Just a small introduction to set things in perspective, so that when we start from there, we will be able to understand and grasp things in perspective. Now I want to share my screen. David, can you allow me to share my screen? Thanks, David. I think, is it visible for all of you? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, David. Now, uh, we are from Christian Institute of Management, and this institute has been mandated 20 years back to work and engage with Christian missions, churches, Christian educational institutions, medical fraternity across the country, and even to an extent in South Asia, to help organization leadership fine tune their management skills, not just management skills, but look at it from a biblical perspective. It's about helping the mission and the Christian leaders across this nation as we encounter challenges, as we encounter opportunities. How do we look at it from a spiritual perspective? That is what Christian Institute of Management has been mandated to do over the last so many years. Next slide, David. What, sorry, I'm in control. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have been doing over the last, just a small introduction of what we are doing. We have four major areas that we concentrate. One is that we do publications. Many of you are aware of our Christian Manager fortnightly magazine, which is read across the country. We do a lot of organizational development services. We have management courses, right from certification course to PhD program. We have our PhD program research scholars in partnership with CIM and Martin Luther Christian University. We also have training programs in many disciplines, close to about 63 areas. We go across the country and we conduct management programs for groups of people, for individual organizations. In the last, the year before, like 2018-19, if you see, we were able to touch base with about 536 organizations across the nation. It might be churches, it will be mission organizations, it will be Christian educational institutions, it will be Christian medical hospitals, across this nation, looking at a wide spectrum of challenges and issues and opportunities that organizations face. Crisis management is not just during the time of COVID-19. In our experience, like crisis management is part and parcel of life. We see each of the organization at various levels have different types of crisis, like right to financial crisis, to human development, and to compliance and statutory recommend, huge amount of crisis. But this crisis where we are sitting now, it's something unique, which all of us face together. That is so unique about this crisis. And when we interact with last year, as you see here, we interacted with more than 4,800 mission staff. Yeah, it's a big challenge. Each one of them have different challenges. Each one of them go through different crises. They don't know how to handle it. We help them from a management perspective. But what we enjoy doing is, more than doing it from a management perspective, we enjoy doing it from a biblical perspective. So all our engagements with organizations and mission fraternity will, address issues from a mission perspective. Now, as we move into this new situation, this new dynamics, what we want to place before you is one of the challenges that um, we have been receiving from the mission world is, how do I sustain my organization? I have so many challenges. I have compliance and statutory. Many people, we have lost our FCRA for lot of non-compliance, for a lot of internal issues, for lot of external issues. I am not able to sustain. I have to close my operations. Lot of struggles, a lot of discussions are happening in the mission world as to how do I sustain my organization. I want to survive. I want to, be exist in the domain so that we will continue the ministry. This is a very good conversation. We don't have anything against it, but what we have also placed with the mission world is, can we change this conversation into how do we continue our mission? Like we have seen organizations spend so much of time in developing their vision, mission, and core values, and all those things. But at the time of crisis, what happens? What the experience that we have working with hundreds of organizations is, it boils down to my survival. Suddenly, the vision, mission, and core values, it looks as though it doesn't exist. What we do is, brothers, can we go back to your vision? Can we go back to our mission? Can we see why we are here, what we are here, and how we have to go forward? When we shift the conversation from an organization sustainability perspective to a mission continuity perspective, suddenly it's not about survival. What we have experienced is, it is about from survival to thriving, even in a crisis situation. Uncertainties do not take control of us. Uncertainties are always there. They are there for the last so many years, thousands of years. Humankind has experienced uncertainties day in and out, every part of the time and year or everything. But how do we as organizations look at crisis from a mission perspective? Can crisis be an opportunity for us to strengthen our vision? This is what we try to do, and that conversation has been, really good. What we do when we start these conversations with organizations, I'm just placing before you what are the experiences that we have. We have this, as I told you, we have this experience with many organizations, but the first and the foremost thing that we want to do is, we want to help organization do is, what is the call? Let us start going to this primary call or the purpose for our existence. We in the scriptures, we see these two great things, the greatest commandment and the great commission. Like what we do in CIM is, when we interact with organizations, we call it as the DNA statements. The DNA statements consist of about 5 things. One is the vision statement, the mission statement, the core values, the tagline, if an organization wants to have a tagline, and then the logo. These are the 5 kind of DNA statements that an organization exhibits. If an organization wants to exhibit this, what we always try to help organizations do is, brothers, put it in the lens of these 2 things. Put it under the lens of great commandment, put it under the lens of great commission. How do you feel? Are you comfortable? Does it make sense? Uh, if you look at all these things from a uncertainty or crisis management perspective, we always say, like, for example, look at 2000 years back when these great commandment and great commission was given. I think, since last 2000 years, the world has been going through crisis after crisis, pandemic after pandemic, in the lives of individuals, in the life of organizations. But what keeps driving us? What is that which drives us? Can the external environment, can the situation that is happening around us, can it keep driving us, or is it allowing us to drift into a normal that is defined by the world? All of us sitting here are from mission organizations, from churches, I know, from schools, from hospitals, heads of institutions, administrators, people who are supporting organizations. One of the biggest challenges that we need to see is, mm, the challenge is not outside. We would rather say the challenge is within us. Most of the time what happens is we are driven and defined by what's happening outside. Something which has to happen within us, which is anchored in the word, which is anchored in the call. uh, if that is really grounded, and if that is really rooted, and these kind of pandemics and crises, we will be able to handle it to a large extent. That is what we are trying to help organizations look at. More than about more if we shift the conversation from an organization sustainability perspective to how do I continue the mission or the vision that was given to my organization. If we start moving into that perspective, it makes a huge difference, and we have experienced it. When we start having these conversations with organizations, it has helped them. I want, before I close, I also want to place this before you. One of the things that happens in the world is, right, as I mentioned, last 2000 years is, it's all the thief. His way is to kill and destroy. But we cannot be driven by the what the thief is doing. We are about life. God has given each of us, individuals and organizations, a call to give life, and He is willing to give it abundantly. And this nation and the world around us is trying to kill and destroy. How do we look at our mission and vision from a John 10:10 perspective? Can we say, can we identify ourselves with our Savior, the Good Shepherd, and can we say, I have come that we all may have life and have it to the full? So when we want to make this reality, when we want to make it alive, the word to become alive in us, can we say we are all part of a kingdom building process that helps build life? These are the three passages that we want to place it before you as we move forward. And these are some questions that I want to place it before you. What are we facing, and what is the premise of our opportunity? I'm not using the word challenge. Very specifically, intentionally, I'm not using the word challenge. What are we facing, and what is the premise of our opportunity at this point of time? Let us look at it from an opportunity perspective. How do we shape our thought process from a kingdom perspective? That is what we want to place before you. How do we look at it from a kingdom perspective? What are the key drivers that drives us as for an organization? What are the key drivers that defines who we are, and what is the context of where we are and its nature? Each of us sitting here are from schools and heads and hospitals and mission organizations. What is the context, and how do we understand it, and how do we look at it from God's perspective, and how do we move forward? Do we just look at it from a sustaining perspective, just to exist and survive, or do we want to be in the business of transformation, transforming lives? Do we want to make our mission real, make it a reality? We are only about giving life. The call for each one of us, what we want to place before you as we start this whole session is, we are called only to give life, and let's do it. The nation around us is trying to make it very, very difficult for all of us, especially for the poor, for the vulnerable, and we are making it very difficult. But we, as His children, in this situation, we are called to give life. So we are not driven by the challenges. We cannot be driven by the challenges, but we redefine the challenges and we say, our Lord is with us and we are here to give life alone. So that is the missional responsibility that all of us have. And even as we move forward, I would like to place this before you as we move further and help organizations to move forward. Thank you, and may the Lord guide you and bless you as we move forward. Now I hand it over to some of the experts. Over to the experts. I want you to listen to them, enjoy and cherish the wonderful